Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Today, is it the racket or is it the string and tension? What if you can only choose one? Stay tuned. All right, guys, so the topic of the day, and I brought in my buddy Coach Rob because I wanted to pose the question on him. If you could choose between having your racket and only your racket, but with a random string and a random tension on your racket, would you choose that, or would you choose having your strings and your tension on a random racket? So you can only choose string and tension or your racket. Now, we can talk through this a little bit, but the reason why I brought this up is, most people, when you're buying a racket, you buy the racket of, your choice. Hopefully you've tried it or you know of it, and you basically say, oh, I'll take any string mid-tension. Like, that's usually the thing. Or whatever was on the demo, whatever my friend used. When you do that, and especially if you just go sin gut mid-tension, you're kind of underselling yourself, because you chose the racket because it played well, and the strings on it could definitely enhance it even more. So, in the past we've talked about, a racket being the car and the strings being the tires, that actually contacts the road. The strings contact the ball. Now, I've given Coach Rob a couple minutes to ponder it already because I kind of just sprung it on him.
Yes, you did.
So, racket or string and tension?
Racket.
Racket?
Racket.
Okay. So, I would, let's say, take that pro staff that's unstrung and throw any random string on it, and that's how you would prefer to take it.
If that was my choice, yes.
Okay.
If those were the choices, sure, I can, I want the feel of the racket, the weight of the racket, mm-hmm. the balance. That I think would have a greater impact on my shots than changing up the, having some variable string. I think I can adjust to the variable string.
Right.
Because the swing is going to be more or less the same with the frame.
Okay.
And the grip size and the weight.
I would agree with you. Actually, I would definitely agree with you because you're used to your racket already. Like you said, the balance, the swing, the plow, the way you can control it in your hand. But what if you didn't have that choice and you had to use a random racket with your strings? How do you think that would feel?
The string would feel nice. The random racket would be, maybe the grip's too small. Maybe it's an oversized. Maybe it's somebody with an extended racket, which
right.
would change things a little bit. I think there's more things you have to get used to doing it the other way.
This is true. Yeah, I would agree with Coach Rob. I would want my racket too, even if it's strung at like 70 pounds or 20 pounds. I think because you're so used to how it swings that it would be a lot easier to
make some subtle adjustments too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because oh yeah, that's right. You were on that video. Remember I strung one at like 11 pounds.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And the other one at like 80 pounds.
Right.
And it didn't feel bad either way, but because...
It felt different.
Yeah. But because it was my racket and I was able to figure out what to do with it on impact of super tight versus super loose, that actually helped a lot. So Racket, huh? So what do you think about the people who basically walk in, buy the racket and just go PSG 16 at 55?
Either they like the PSG at 55, or they've spent so much time trying to figure out the frame that they haven't spent a lot of time on learning the strings. And there's so many strings out there with so many advantages and all of that, and the tension, and that it's really can be overwhelming.
Right.
You walk into a shop and there's walls of string. You're like,
right.
Holy moly.
Right.
I'm not sure, And that's where, hey, I like the demo. What would you have in the demo?
Right.
I'd go with that. Or hopefully you kind of will educate yourself a little bit by asking questions and reading up on stuff.
Yeah,
it's overwhelming.
Definitely. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with PSG. It's still like a top selling racket, top selling string on the market. Like all of the synthetic guts are. They are definitely cost effective, and they come in various colors, various gauges. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that's kind of the entry level. There's just everything else is kind of better, right?
Better if you can feel that it's better.
Right.
Okay. Like you don't know, if you've always been using, syn gut, you're like, okay, I don't know there's now a poly or a shape poly or the monofilament or the gut. There's so many ways you can go. But if you start at that and you start at your staple and then go, okay, hey, and then if someone asks you, hey, if you'd like more power, try this string. Hey, you want more spin? Try this string. You're going through the string too quick because you're hitting a lot of spin. Let's try something a little more durable. So, you can hybrid. There's lots of ways. So I think a lot of it's just, having someone ask you questions and seeing if you can figure out in your own game what it is you're looking for.
Right. That's true.
And it's not forever. Like, if you don't like it, okay, cut it out and try something else.
That's true, right?
Granted, that's somebody for a little deeper pocket who's willing to change strings more often, but...
Right. If you're used to syn gut, hey, by all means, keep going with syn gut. But I guess for our purposes, we're used to, we're kind of spoiled. So we're using good rackets, and we get to choose the strings we use. We get to test out the strings we use. And we can, tell the differences of, let's say, a syn gut versus something else. When I was growing up, it was either syn gut or nylon.
Or gut, if you had money.
That's true. We had three choices, and everybody chose syn gut. So, and because nylon was the worst back then. If you guys don't know what straight nylon string is, it was like $2 a set when I was growing up, and it came in 15 light because those people didn't want to break the strings and wanted it to last forever. And it was a monofilament. It was just straight one filament, a core, no core. It was the core, and there was no energy transfer in it. It was just straight kind of dead string, right? It was for the people who were string breakers, and it was the cheap way to go. Not that syn gut was that much more, but nothing's going to beat $2. It was like $2 chuck for tennis strings.
Right.
So, but I guess we've answered our question, at least on our side. It's time for a review of, is it the strings or is it the racket for us?
Oh man.
Need a string job? Need a string job today? All you have to do is launch your app at Direct Tennis, call out the stringer, your stringer can come pick it up from you, or you could take it there. They're in your neighborhood. It's as simple and as easy as that. Find your stringer today. at directtennis.online. All right, so racket for you, racket for me. Now, I think I should do a follow-up video. We'll do a really out of the blue racket with NXT for you and confidential for me, and see if we can play with it at our tensions and how we would either adapt or hate it.
Okay.
Right? That would probably be a fun video. All right, let us know in the comments if you would go with your racket like us, or if you think, or if you know you're good enough to play with anything as long as it's your string and your tension. I'll take a quick survey on that. If you could let me know, and we'll count them down and see if racket or string and tension. All right, Coach Rob, thank you for hanging out.
Sure.
And choosing your racket over your string and tension. Guys, thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.